Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. I am going to share with you today a nice family, high protein casserole recipe that is fairly easy to make. Sometimes you can plan ahead for this or you can do it on the fly. Tonight, we are going to do it on the fly. It is late, just got done with a long day of work, hence this. So I'm going to walk you through step by step of how I make this. This is a chicken bacon ranch with broccoli casserole. Really high in protein, lower carbs, great family meal. Make a big casserole dish of it. And the best part is you can actually divide this up and freeze it and use it during the week if you're, only want to have a few days worth. You can freeze it and then thaw it for later. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I am a fan of the Instapot because the chicken will be ready in like 20 minutes. So you can totally go ahead and throw it in your crock pot in the morning, or you can throw it in the oven and bake it. However you want to take care of your chicken, go for it. But like I said, I'm just getting home from work and I want this done lickety split. So Instapot, great tool. There's going to be a link down in the comments if you do not have one to kind of look into one. So what you're going to do is I am actually taking this entire family packet of boneless, skinless chicken breast, and I'm throwing this all right in my crock pot. Instapot. Because what I don't use for this recipe will definitely go into another recipe. So, as you know, with chicken, washy wash. Always washy wash the hands. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go ahead and get this started over here on my other counter. So, also for this recipe, we need some bacon. Now, my recipe does call for 10 slices of thick cut bacon, but who am I to tell you how much bacon to use? You measure that with your soul and then you weigh it on the scale. So I have some bacon here and I put mine in the oven. I have a wire rack that I put in my cookie sheet, and that is how I do my bacon. You can do it however you like. You can throw it on the stove, you can throw it on your smoker, you can throw it in the oven, air fryer, whatever works for you. Go ahead, do it, get it done. It is all good. So like I said, my recipe does call for about 10 slices. A lot is going to depend on how much you like bacon, how thick cut your slices are. These are supposed to be thick cut. They are not thick cut. The package lied to me. So we're going to get this going in the oven. And along with this, we're also going to get some broccoli started here. So I just have 2 pounds of broccoli. Again, you can do what you feel is best. My kids, the first time I made it, they definitely said to me, Mom, this needs more broccoli. Who knew your kids would say, Mom, this needs more broccoli? So I'm just going to set this pan off to the side here. And then I just have 2-pound family style of broccoli from Walmart. So, and this I'm going to actually go ahead and roast. I prefer it that way. You don't have to do that. It's honestly personal preference, whatever works for you. I like to roast mine. I'm going to put some salt, pepper, some garlic powder on it, just to add a little more seasonings. Chicken is pretty bland. This recipe does have some seasoning in it, but a little more seasoning never hurted it. Never hurts anybody. Sorry, words are obviously a little hard today. So, like I said, you just season this however you see fit. And then we are just going to pop both of these into the oven. Give me just a moment. I'm impatient, so I crank my oven way up. Make sure you watch it. Your bacon will burn, especially if you have them in the same oven, which I do because, ironically enough, I have a double oven. Top one is broken. All right, so while we got all the stuff cooking, we're going to head and start on our sauce, so to speak, that goes with this recipe. So we're gonna need some cottage cheese. I generally use the Friendship Dairies brand. Any brand works, whatever works for you. There's really no right or wrong cottage cheese to use. If you use one that is more of a larger curd, not as much dressing in it, then you will probably have to add water to the mix just to get it kind of a dressing like consistency. Or the Great Value brand definitely has a little more in the way of dressing in it. So we'll just have to play that by ear. But for the dressing, we are going to start with 1 cup of cottage cheese. And I'm going to put this in my Ninja blender cup. A link to this will also be in the comments. I had tried using the Walmart cheapo blender when I started doing all this, and no bueno, did not work. So I'm going to actually add a little water to this, just because it doesn't have quite enough dressing in it. And then we are going to go ahead and we are going to add in 3 tablespoons of powdered ranch seasoning. So essentially what we're doing is we are making our own ranch dressing, just out of cottage cheese. So you have a high protein ranch dressing rather than a high fat, no protein ranch dressing. So like I said, we're going to do 3 tablespoons of this. If you are a ranch junkie, then you are definitely going to want to add a little more. If you're not so much of a ranch junkie, you don't have to add so much. So this is where we are going to go ahead and blend this up. And outlets over there. We'll have to move this over here. So I can tell this is not mixing quite up to be a dressing. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little more water into it. This is just pretty thick right now. And like I said, there's really no exact measurement to the water. It all depends on the cottage cheese that you're using. Okay. So we got dressing like consistency there. And we're going to set this off to the side. So right now, all my meats are cooking. So we are going to have to just kind of wait on that for a moment. In the meantime, I have 3.5 cups of shredded cheese. You do you. Whatever kind of shredded cheese you want. This is literally a hodgepodge that I had sitting in my fridge. There's Mexican, there's cheddar, there's mozzarella. It's a whole mix of stuff. I also have a honey garlic. It's a 0-calorie seasoning. This is what's going to go in my chicken to give it a little extra taste once or before we put it in the oven. So I got everything cooking. I'll be back in just a few minutes to show you how to assemble our creation. Okay, we are going to go ahead and we are going to start assembling because all of our meat has been processed and it has been chopped. I didn't want you to have to stand here and watch me chop, chop, chop for 10 minutes. So the chicken is all here in this bowl. I do have a bunch of seasoning in here. Like I said, I just go with a 0-calorie seasoning. This one's honey garlic. I like to season my chicken quite a bit. You do you, whatever works for you. There's no limit to the imagination of what you want to add into this because it is literally a vehicle for any type of seasoning. Bacon's all chopped up here. And then we have the roasted broccoli here, which I did chop this into bite-sized pieces because some of them were pretty big. So what we are going to need, we're going to need a 9x13 pan. And I recommend a kitchen scale, not required, but it is the best way to get the most accurate macros that we're looking for. So to start with, we are going to take our bowl and we are going to set it here on our scale and we're going to zero it out. And I normally use about 4 pounds of chicken. Again, you kind of do however big of a casserole you want to you want to make, that is completely up to you. But like I said, my recipe takes about 4 pounds of chicken. And something tells me that a pack of chicken was not 4 pounds. It was not. So we're making 2.5 pounds of chicken today because that was definitely not 4 pounds worth of chicken, but that's okay. This recipe could come out different each time. You just redo your macros each time that you do it. So we have our chicken. We are going to add about half of the bacon. So you're going to make sure you zero it out again. Just keep a tally of what your ingredients are so that you're able to enter those in later for your macros. So we're going to go ahead and do about half of our bacon because you got to save some for the top. So that's about 3 ounces there. And what we're going to do is that dressing that we made earlier, we are definitely going to just mix it all in. You see, it's just that dressing type consistency there. Right. And you're going to mix this all together. And we're going to go grab that broccoli here in a second and add that on in as well. Now, I know I did 2 pounds when I roasted it because I only have 2 pounds of chicken. I will probably do 1 pound of broccoli. And then with the dressing, it's just going to have a little more dressing. But again, like I said, you can make this any way that you want with whatever you happen to have laying around. I will have the full recipe listed below so you can see what normally I do make it with. Like I said, tonight, it's just a little off as far as what we're using because I just didn't make enough chicken. All right. So like I said, we're going to stick probably more to the 1 pound side of things. We're going to just mix this all together. And then we are going to take about half of the cheese that we had set aside earlier. We're going to add that in, and the rest is going to be for the topper. Make sure it's a big bowl or you'll make a mess. So if you feel like you don't have enough dressing, you can always make more. Just puree up some more cottage cheese and add it in, or it doesn't even have to be pureed. You can just go ahead and add it in. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to dump it right in our casserole dish here. Then we are going to top that with the rest of our bacon. And then the rest of our cheese. And then we are going to pop it in the oven for 350, about 10 minutes until the cheese is all melted. Okay, so casserole's been in the oven about 15 minutes. I did realize something in the process that the recipe that I've been following, I had doubled for somebody. So yes, you should only have 2 pounds of chicken for this recipe. My apologies. So the entire recipe is going to be in the comments, but you are looking at 2 pounds of chicken, 10 slices of bacon. You do you for the bacon. You're still going to get the 3.5 cups of cheese, the 1 cup of cottage cheese with the 3 tablespoons of the ranch seasoning, and then just seasonings to taste, and then the broccoli, 1 to 2 pounds, whatever your family's comfortable with. If you want to fit the whole 2 pounds in the casserole, you can. If you want to just do a pound, that works too. So let's pull it out of the oven so you can see what the finished product looks like. And then we're going to have some dinner. All right, here is our ooey gooey goodness. So, like I said, this is a fantastic family recipe. You get about 8 servings out of it. You can use it for yourself to just go for lunch through the week, and it is able to be frozen. Just put it in a freezer safe container, and then you pull it out and you nuke it. Add whatever kind of topping you want to it. I actually used some G. Hughes honey mustard the other day when I was eating this. So, this is a great platform to add in different seasonings. You want to throw in some hot sauce. We added some seasoning to the chicken, but it's pretty easy to make. I was, doing this after work tonight and I got some laundry done in between and, just a good family recipe. Awesome to meal prep on Sunday. Throw it in the fridge. Good to go for the week. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I can walk you through the process. The recipe card will be in the comments along with all of the links to the Instapot and the scale and whatnot that I had mentioned during the video. So thank you for joining me for my first video. I apologize for the brokenness of it. I will get better, but I hope you all have a great night and let me know if you enjoy this recipe and if you have any suggestions for anything else. I'll talk to everybody soon.